Hi, and welcome to Studio 411. I'm your host, Larry Dasilva. Well, have we got a show for you today? There's going to be fireworks, I'm sure, before the hour is up. Actress Sharon Farrell, who is also now added the name author as well as actress to her resume, has bared her soul in a gut-wrenching memoir, Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa. And Sharon is going to join us here for the hour on Studio 411 from California. Sharon, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you very, very much for having me. What fun.
Absolutely. Now, tell me what, not what was the idea. Obviously, it's based on your life up to the last year or so. But what was the motivation, or who gave you the idea to put a book out talking about your illustrious career?
Well, I've gone through so many crazy things in my life. I mean, my heart stopped for 4.5 minutes, and I had to overcome that. I, I've been left on the bottom of a jet ski that was capsized in the ocean, and friends that swam away and left me alone to die. And I just overcome just about everything. And I really shouldn't even be around. I really shouldn't be around. I've watched friends die, and I don't know. I'm still here, so I guess God's not finished with me. So I started writing the book because I was kind of mad. I was angry because I had just made so many bad choices in my life, and I think I was in a nut house at the time, it was like kind of an accidental thing because I had collapsed outside of a Simi Valley Hospital. At UCLA, and I had collapsed because I hadn't eaten anything, and I was kind of running out of gas, and I was just going to sleep in the car. And this cop came, and he took me into the hospital, and all of a sudden I was in this nut house, and I got so angry because the way they treated me, it was just horrendous. And the next day, a social worker came in and she said, "Sharon Farrell, what are you doing in here?" And I explained to her how I had collapsed, and all this kind of stuff. And she said, "Well, listen, you just follow my lead. We're getting you out of here." I mean, it was really scary. And it's I had told them, because I had gotten back from New Zealand, and I had scabies, which are like little critters that crawl under your skin. Mm-hmm. And I said, I came here because I've got scabies and I want to get rid of them. And they didn't really know what they were, but they stuck me in this isolation room, and they took all my clothes away. And there was a great big huge window, and they were looking in on me, and I could see them, and there was a bright light all night, and I had no blanket, I had no covering, I had no clothes, and it was like the most humiliating experience I'd ever had. I swear to God, it's like at night, if you go to the hospital, the nurses and doctors at the hospital at night are like different kind of people. I mean, Halloween is coming up, and I swear to God, they're just not. They're not the same as daytime people.
I'm making a note now. Nasty letters from physicians and nurses. So we've started there. All right. Anyway, we'll go back a few years before that. Now, tell us about back in the day where you were born, Sioux City, Iowa. Tell us here in the Northeast. Give us a little thumbnail of what life was like growing up in Sioux City, Iowa. I know Ottumwa, Iowa. That's radar, but you're about the only other the only other person I know that's from Iowa. So tell me, what life was like, and then how you got to be, New York to Hollywood, how that all came about.
Well, I was in Sioux City, Iowa, and I was studying ballet with my ballet teacher. My ballet teacher was taking me to Denver, and she was taking me to the American Ballet Theater Company because she was affiliated with that. And I was going to Denver, and I got into a play, and then the poet laureate of Denver saw me, and he put me in a play in Central City, and then they cut my dancing. They cut all my dancing, and they added words to my performance. They added dialogue, and all of a sudden I was an actress, and I was making more money than being a dancer. So I started being an actress. So
Yeah, dancing is tough, you know, especially whether ballet or whatever. It's hard because the
oh,
lifespan is a lot less than you know, than being an actor or an actress.
you don't get paid. They don't get paid. You don't get paid anything, and
Yeah.
you're never good enough. You know, you always have to have a higher extension, a bigger turnout. Oh, dancers are just unsung heroes. They don't, you know, it's like if you're in a production somewhere and if there's like candy wrappers on the floor, they blame the dancers first, and then it's like echelons. You know, it's like dancers at the bottom, and then you have singers but the actors are the ones that get paid the most and have the most respect. And you know, I went from, hey, Sharon, get over here, to Miss Farrell, where would you like your chair? You know,
Wow.
it's terrible, but that's the way it is.
I didn't know I was supposed to call her Miss Farrell when we were setting up for the show, but see, now I know. Miss Farrell, by the way, her book, Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa. And again, for more information and to reach out with Sharon, www.sharonfarrell.com. So now you wound up then in the, there's the book right there. And we also have a shot of it there in our production booth as well. Now, for folks who might not know Sharon, again, from the 60s through the late 1990s, actually starting in 1959, I mean, quite an impressive list of credits. Again, we're going to talk about a few, but I would need almost like 2 or 3 hours just to cover all these. TV shows: Death Valley Days, Gunsmoke, Fugitive, Ben Casey, Hawaii Five-0, which she was a regular for a season and a half. She was in the long-running soap The Young and the Restless for several years. Movies: The Reavers, Marlowe, It's Alive, The Stuntman, Out of the Blue, just, you know, on and on and on. But we'll go back in time. Tell me, how did you wind up in probably, late 58, early 59? How did you wind up on the set of your first movie? And tell me about that experience in Havana.
Oh boy. Well, the day that I got that movie, I was totally out of money, and I was trying to borrow a coin for the subway from my girlfriend. And we used to get these subway, these they were just slugs, and they were like, you could buy for $5, you could get like 100 of them, you know, I mean, thousands of them practically. And they were like, it was against the law, it was a criminal act to use them, but I mean, all the actors used them in New York. I mean, anybody who knew about them used them, because, you know, times are tough and things are expensive, and I don't know, I used to follow the crowd, you know. So anyway, I was out of these slugs. You know, you use them for washing machines too. But I was out of slugs, and she wouldn't give me one of hers, and so I had to walk from like 73rd Street and Riverside Drive all the way down to like CBS. And the casting director at CBS was casting this movie called Kiss Her Goodbye, and Elaine Stritch and Steve Hill were like the big stars in it. And Steve Hill had a mentally retarded sister, which was me. And she attracts men wherever she goes, because she'll go to a playground and she'll swing on the swings, and her dress will come down, her panties will show, and she was like that. So I went in there, and I got it, and I got the part. And my dad flew in from Sioux City, Iowa, to sign papers, because I was too young. You know, I was too young to go by myself.
Right.
But so he came in and he signed all the papers and everything. And it was the old RKO Studios was the name of the studio that was doing the movie. And so we flew to Cuba, Havana, Cuba, and it was right after they were still doing body counts and you know, I mean, we were staying at the Havana Hilton Hotel, and our production company was all on the 8th floor, and Fidel on the sixth or fifth floor, because he was on a lower floor than ours for some reason. I think it's because there was a balcony outside, and he could talk to people at night.
Fidel Castro, just for those tuning in who are not sure what we're talking. Fidel Castro, the up and coming what would we call a revolutionary dictator of then Cuba. So continue.
So at one point there was a gal. Her name was Eleanor Stetson, and she had a husband who I think he took care of the lights and stuff. I can't remember. He was production, and she would exchange our money for Cuban money so we would have more money, and so she knew Fidel and she knew Che, but I was doing this scene with Stephen Hill. He comes into this restaurant, and I'm dancing around, and men are looking at me, and he gets mad and he slaps me. Well, he slapped me so hard he knocked me out, and it's like I got done with a show, and I got done with the show that day, and I went back to my room and I fell asleep, and I woke up. And there was supposed to be a big party, and I went downstairs. I was running downstairs. I was running to the elevator and going down because I wanted to go to this big party that all the cast and the crew were all involved in. And they had left. They had left without me. And there was this one Cuban girl that came up. She says, why did he hit you like that? And I said, well, I don't know. He just did. He got carried away. I don't know. I didn't know anything anyway. It wasn't very professional of him, but, Stephen Hill was like, he was like a really good actor, and he was method. So I don't know. He really hit me too hard.
Wow.
So she says, well, she says, I think it was mean. I don't care. Method, schmethod. That was mean of him. I'm going to take you up to a real party, but you can't tell anybody because we're not supposed to go up there. So I said, fine. So we go upstairs, and it's Fidel Castro's having a party. So we go in there, and Fidel says, oh, pobrecito animalito de Dios. And he's like, I was blonde, and I was like curvy and all this kind of stuff. And he welcomed me, and he threw a watch at me. He's probably off of some dead person that they killed that morning. And he said, I'm going to have, you can have your choice of any man in this room, and he will guard and protect you while you're shooting this movie. So all of a sudden there was a guy, and he was standing with his hands on his hips, and he was just grinning at me. And he looked kind of like my dad, actually. He had a widow's peak, and I thought he was sexy and cute. And he was really dirty. He was just really dirty. And my dad was like a mechanic, so it was like I was used to that. So, and it was Che Guevara. And we went off on a motorcycle, and then things happened, which I write about in my book. I'm not going to tell you here. Yes. I'm not going to say what happened.
We want to leave a cliffhanger for the reader. There you go.
We ran off, and we got back, and he was coming up to my room, and there was a bomb that exploded right then, and he had to run off. So he ran off, and I got up. Another bandito took me up to my room. Wow. And
now you told me when we were working to set this up that
of my affair with Che Guevara.
Yeah, and he used to send you plane ticket to try to come visit him before the embargo.
He wanted me to go to Bolivia with him.
Yeah,
and I wanted to go. And my roommate, she was from Puerto Rico, and she said, Sharon, this man is married. Do you think you're the only one? He is, he just runs around. He is 7 years younger than your own father. I'm not going to let you do this. I will. What about your career? No. And then I'd come home, and I'd hear her on the phone. Well, she's not here. She moved out. She's talking on the phone to somebody, and I'm sure it was him because she was speaking in Spanish,
right?
And it's like I couldn't hardly. Che and I could hardly even communicate with each other. We were like, I had high school Spanish, and then he was coughing and smoking cigars and coughing up blood, and oh my God. Anyway, but we were speaking in another language, actually,
sure.
Other than that kind of language.
As the song says, the language of love. There you go.
Yeah, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. So
author.
He was the very first man in my entire life.
Yes, I'll say.
man.
So when you see like the T-shirts and different memorabilia that show, you know, the great Che Guevara, who of course passed away, I believe, around 1969, and one of those.
They cut off his hands and his head and
Wow.
everything, and put him on poles.
Wow, that could be a little bit of a handicap, let me tell you. But anyway, but do you ever see like images of him like on a T-shirt or something and think back, oh my goodness, there's my Che. Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, I do that with Bruce Lee, and I do that with Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
I've had really great. I've had some. Those are the three loves of my life.
Yeah. Well, see, she just stole my thunder. I was just going to say, the book is Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa, and of course, amongst stories of Hollywood and parts unknown, Sioux City as well. She profiles her love affairs with some of the greatest known men, including the aforementioned Che Guevara, Bruce Lee, and Steve McQueen. So now we've ruled that out. Very impressive, by the way. I've told people as we were getting ready to setting up to do this program, and I said, well, you know, that's pretty good. You know, 3 boyfriends. Those are pretty top 3 in some people's minds. A revolutionary, a martial arts icon, and probably one of the first true action heroes of modern Hollywood. So, you know, very good, very good. So, but overall, we discussed off air, your choice in men sometimes leaves something to be desired other than perhaps those 3. Would we agree to that?
I'm not very good at choosing men. The ones that were married that I chose were like really good, but I always thought I was just the only other woman, and now I know that I was probably one of a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. I'm not good at picking men at all.
Now, Bruce Lee, you met him, I assume it was what, post Green Hornet? You met him on the movie Marlowe?
I met him on Marlowe, the James Garner.
James Garner movie, yeah.
And I was playing the little sister in Raymond Chandler's novel, The Little Sister. And it was a remake. I don't know whether it was Robert Mitchum had done it before, or Humphrey Bogart had played the James Gardner role. And I don't remember who.
Yeah, I think there she
played
is.
My sister. She was like the movie star that I was like blackmailing.
Sure.
I was terrible. I was really skinny and scrawny in that, and that's where I met Bruce. And it's so weird because the first time I saw him, he came out and put his hands on his hips and did a flip.
Something about men putting hands on hips really is a turn on for you. I'm getting that impression.
Something's wrong with me.
Yeah. Thank goodness George Reeves wasn't alive then, because you know he used to do that when he did Superman. You know, or Adam West. Did you know Adam?
I didn't know. I never knew either one of those.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
Thank God.
Now, I digress for a minute because otherwise I'm going to forget about it. I saw a photo. We don't have it, unfortunately, but the last couple of years you ran into one of your old beaux, I think, or old friends, certainly, Ryan O'Neal.
Ryan O'Neal?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Did I guess right?
Yeah. What was that? Did you date him at all or no?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And you know something? He was a guy that I should have been. He was available and everything else, and he wasn't married, and I should have really gone out with him more. But he used to drag his little brother around with him all the time, and he used to wear these plaid jackets, and I just thought he was like some kind of a geek, you know. And he was adorable, and he was nice, and all that kind of stuff, but.
And then Love Story comes out, and you're like, I could have had this guy.
And I ran into, I've just always adored him, but I don't know. It was like, I don't know. He scared me somehow. I mean, I was with him. I mean, we met on a TV show.
Yeah.
And Terry Moore, you remember that?
Yeah.
She's still alive.
Mighty Joe Young. Yeah.
She's written a bunch of books that are wonderful.
And she posed, didn't she pose for Playboy in the 80s?
Oh, she's done everything.
Yeah, because she was married to Howard Hughes. Yeah.
Yeah, she's bright and smart and really fun. I went with her with a group of people to the Academy Awards about 6 years ago, I
Yeah.
guess. She's a wild woman.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun.
There
Terry
you go.
Moore is a lot of fun. And but you know, a lot of the people that I know, they don't want to work, or they're not working. And I've been trying. I've been thinking, well, maybe I have to go back to work. You know, maybe I have to. I would like not to, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to have what I have a house and property that I paid for, and I did all of this stuff, but I might have to split it with
Sure.
somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
So if I do that, then I'm going to have to go back to work. So I've been talking to, there's a gal named Barbara Bach, Bakke, and my old agent, Sharon DeBoard, who was also in the Reavers with me with Steve McQueen.
I saw her name, and I used to have the biggest crush on her when I was in school because she played Nurse, was it Nurse Sharon?
But she was on General Hospital.
She was
right?
on General Hospital. She was married on the show to this kind of creepy guy named Howie. I don't know, you know, she'll know, but I didn't know she became an agent.
She became an agent, and she was kind of, I mean, she was a really wonderful agent, and she got to be really friendly with this really adorable casting director on The Young and the Restless at the time. And she had me in, and Ed Scott was married to Melody Thomas Scott.
Yes, yeah.
And Melody Thomas Scott had seen me in a show I did, A Name of the Game, where I played a Janis Joplin type singer, rock and roll singer. And she always liked my work, and they really just got me on the show. And but Sharon DeBoard, that girl, I mean, we even dated the same men, and I didn't know it. She did, but I didn't know it. And she finally confessed to me, and I thought, oh my God, Sharon, if I had known, I would have backed off. You know, I mean,
it's like you've heard of that. Was it
horrible when I was
what's
young.
that? What's that game they do where
anybody else except myself? I was totally shallow, and you know.
Oh well.
I guess I'm getting my comeuppance now.
We try to learn from our mistakes, as you and I were speaking earlier. Yeah?
I don't know. When is it going to stop? You know, it's like, good, haven't I learned enough? I'm worn out from learning.
Author and actress Sharon Farrell joining us here for the hour on Studio 411. Sharon Farrell, Hollywood princess from Sioux City, Iowa. Quick question, short answer. Top 3 male actors that you have had the privilege to act with?
Peter O'Toole, Steve McQueen, Patrick Dempsey, oh golly, James Garner.
There you go. There's 3.
I loved all of them.
How about females? Because I know sometimes actresses don't. You know, they're.
I worked with Eve Arden. I worked with.
Where was that?
Arden Rush is wonderful.
Where did you work with Eve Arden?
Eve Arden played my mom on Man from U.N.C.L.E. I did about 3 or 4 of those Man from U.N.C.L.E.s.
I know the first one.
I did all those shows. So
matter of fact, I think
had great moms and dads, and I mean, half the time I didn't even know I was working with, and they were like famous people,
Sure.
you know, that went back to silent films like French O'Tone. I worked with him on a Hitchcock.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I think we even have a shot, if the crew in there can pull it up at some point. We've got a couple of shots of Sharon back in her Man from U.N.C.L.E. days. We've got her at a beach scene, and we've got her on something else. I think with Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Now, see, there would be a great show. What's that? NCIS with David McCallum. That'd be great.
He contacted me, and I thought, oh my God, I want to do that show. And he just wanted to have lunch, and that guy's still a rooster.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. He was he was married years ago to.
I mean, he didn't know. He says, I don't know anything about casting directors. You know, I've got a room over here. You know, it's like, I mean, he's a madman. You know,
yeah.
You should. I'll tell you, men are men are men are men.
Oh.
That's just the way they are. I don't care what everybody's saying these days about Bill Cosby and Donald Trump and all the others. Men are men, and usually they'll rape us if they get a chance.
My goodness. Strong words from Sharon. All right. And,
well, it's true. I'm just kind of, I don't know. You just don't go to the Playboy Mansion. You know what? You have to be home in bed by 8:30.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you can really stay out of trouble.
There you go.
You have to just be a daytime person and not be a nighttime person, because people get a couple drinks in themselves or something else, and they're not who they are.
There you go.
They're just not who they are.
Quickly changing the subject. See, the bell went off. Now we can move on to something else. Behind you, show us, just point in the direction. You've got a painting of yours. Again, folks can go to...
Can you see it?
Yeah, oh no, we got it. No, don't move the camera. We're good.
Yeah, Premonition is the movie I did. That's just like I just tacked that up at the wall just so.
Yeah.
I got this from a Facebook fan.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
there you
and
go.
I got another book. I got another book too.
There you go.
Well, got another book from this gal.
There you go. Oh, Joy Lansing. Yeah, I remember she was on Superman and many programs. Yeah.
I never knew who she was.
Yeah.
But the gal who wrote it.
She was kind of a poor woman's Jane Mansfield, but she's very talented. But again, it was in those days it was a lot of competition. That was a little before your time. But anyway, getting back to the bear back there, Sharon, in addition to all her other exploits, is also a painter, and SharonFarrell.com for more information, even on the paintings. I think there's photos of many of the photos that she's done. And Sharon Farrell, actress and author, joining us here on Studio 411 for the hour, the memoir that Sharon has written. Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa, and Sharon is back with us. Tell us about the poster behind you there. That's another one of your movies from back in the day.
Oh, yeah, that's the fifth floor, and I had a friend that worked at Playboy, and on the fifth floor they had this poster of me. And when he left Playboy, he stole the poster and gave it to me.
Nice, there we go.
So that's how I got it.
My goodness.
But it's like I'm like holding on to bars and trying to get out of a nut house.
There you go.
Another nut house.
Late in the 70s and through the early 80s, I know you started doing some game shows that a lot of times can be seen on different websites, of course, with technology. The one, of course, folks know you from is Match Game, of course, the old Gene Rayburn's show. You guys seem like you used to have a good time, because I think, you were doing about 3 or probably shooting a week's worth of shows in one take, correct?
Yeah, one day we'd do like a bunch of shows, and I worked with Betty White, and she was just a doll. And she was just a lot of fun. I was putting my clothes on her, and she was wearing my clothes. We were just silly and crazy, and it was just fun.
There's this one clip I've seen of you, McLean Stevenson. There was a gentleman up on the second tier with Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers. A whole thing where, I don't know, you wound up literally, I think Gene nearly jumped on you even then. I mean, it was quite a crazy show back in the day. It was very good. Sharon is giving us a tour as we're going along. So
I'm like, the sun is coming in, and I'm just trying to like.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm so sorry.
I mentioned one to you off air, and actually to your left, there's another painting there. Looks like a wolf. She's got paintings all over there. Look at it.
I can do this.
Let's see. There you go.
They're my coyotes.
Yes. Okay. But now we're losing in the light, so you want to go back to back to where you were. There you go. I mentioned to you off air as we were getting ready to do the show, and I think she doesn't remember because, again, I don't know what was going on in those days, but you were on a show called The Movie Game.
Oh, I can't go there. Okay, I'm sorry. I was on, the movie.
The Movie Game. Sonny Fox was the host. And the panelists, you were there for a week. Sharon has no recollection of this. The panelists were Dick Martin and Dan Rowan from Laugh-In, and the lovely and legendary Greer Garson, who was there. I mean, that was amazing that she was there. And then Sharon, and at first I didn't even recognize you. You had your hair in pigtails.
Oh, God.
I'm assuming you were doing a movie because you were like a brunette on that show. And I said, wow. I said, that's really Sharon Farrell. And you look like you were also very chummy with Dick Martin. Was he another one of your dates there? No.
No, they were just, I don't know. We were shooting all these shows, and we were just all together all day long doing one show after another, and we just all got a little crazy, we just got crazy from being on the show, and we just started entertaining ourselves. The same thing happened with Vincent Price. I mean, he was just such a doll. Sometimes you just click it off with certain people and they really like you, or you just get along, or I'm so sorry, I'm just trying to get the light right and I can't.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
My house is just goofy. It's not cooperating with me
No,
at
you're
all.
fine right where you are. Vincent Price, by the way, would have been interesting had he been alive now, because
so fun.
he was very much a connoisseur and an expert on paintings, and I'm sure he would have enjoyed seeing your work. So there we go. I'm getting seasick from this, but we're following Sharon. There we go.
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Okay, that's okay. I'm like,
now
the sun
you're
is
good.
kind of gone a little bit
There
away.
you
It's
go.
just over here a little bit.
There you go. We're back to the bear in one of your expert paintings.
I'm worn out carrying my computer around.
There you go. There you go. Now I've totally blanked on what I was going to ask. Oh, Henry Kissinger. There's a Henry Kissinger story that you recall that?
Oh, I was invited. Rhonda Barrett, I think it was, had these big, huge parties at her house. And usually they would take, Jill St. John was always going out with him. And I was seated next to him at this dinner party. And I was going for cheese, because I thought that was cheese for my, cause how they serve you bread,
Sure.
And then you have butter and bread, and well, I thought it was cheese because there was something so stinky. And I was sitting right next to Henry Kissinger, and Rona Barrett said, "Sharon, that's his feet. It's not cheese, that's butter." And I just about died. I was so embarrassed. But Rona Barrett was very funny. She was very funny. But I don't know how Jill St. John could have. I don't know how she went out with them.
That's why she went running to Robert Wagner later in life.
Oh,
there you go.
God,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
Robert Wagner, he used to follow pretty girls down the street. He
well,
really did. But anybody who does is that, if they don't do a flip for me, I'm not going with them.
When he
or put their hands on the hips.
When he wrote a book several years ago, he admitted that he had a love affair with somebody. Was it Barbara Stanwyck or Joan Crawford? I think it was Barbara Stanwyck.
Yeah, I think so too. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, when he was very young and everything. And then later I remember she got an award, like an honorary thing. This was like in the 80s before she passed. And oh my goodness, she spoke of him like so glowingly. Now he's an adult man. Back then he was like a young guy starting out in the business.
She was a cougar.
Yeah.
She was a cougar.
Oh, she was, probably an early day version. Absolutely, yeah, good point. Sharon Farrell joining us here for the hour on Studio 411. The book Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa. Let's see, you mentioned too something I read, Bob Hope. Bob Hope helped you out in a couple of ways. He helped you to film the TV pilot, is that correct? Well, tell me about that.
I was in New York City, and all of a sudden I was getting all kinds of offers. I was getting offers to do a series there, a daytime series, As the World Turns, I think, and they wanted me for Alberto VO5 Girl. They wanted me to do that, and they wanted me to understudy Barefoot in the Park with Bob Redford and Elizabeth Ashley. And I had understudied before, and Bob Hope I was wanted for Beverly Hillbillies, and Bob Hope wanted me to do this pilot called Amy, Once in Love with Amy. And Ray Bolger was singing the songs, and I went with that. They told me to do the Buddy Epson thing because he was carrying the show, and he was such a good actor. And of course, Beverly Hillbillies was sold. But I don't think any of those people got any residuals anyway.
You could have been had the role Donna Douglas took, Ellie Mae.
Yeah, but she didn't never get any residuals.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking back on, who got residuals and who didn't. I mean, I was offered All in the Family the same time I was offered The Reavers with Steve McQueen, and I took I took The Reavers, and Carol Connors got so mad at me. I mean, every time he'd see me, he'd go like this.
So you would have gotten the role that Sally Struthers got?
Yeah.
Wow, holy cow.
You know, are you kidding? Steve McQueen was the highest paid actor in the world at that
Yeah,
time. He was the most popular. It was a movie. It was the Reavers. I mean, every girl in Hollywood wanted to get up for that part. Mark Rydell was the director, who was a fabulous director. Who else was in? I mean, Will Geer was in it. It's a wonderful script by Harriet and Irving Ravitch, and the Pulitzer Prize winning novel by, you know, what's his name? I can't remember his
yeah,
name. The author of the Reavers.
yeah. It'll come to you.
Not Mark Twain, but he was
Sure.
back there with Mark Twain.
Yeah.
So it was like a real, and it's still just a beautiful movie. It's just a wonderful movie about. It's a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
So there was no way I could turn it on. All in the Family wasn't even sold. It was
Right,
just a
and
pilot.
All in the Family. Now we look back at it and
But
we
now,
know.
All
Right
in the
now.
Family's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Golly, it's like
But-
I would have loved to. I wish I could have done both.
Sure, but I mean, it makes sense. The percentages were with doing the movie because of who the star was, and all that went with that. Yeah, I mean, pilots
Yeah,
come and go. You know, you were on a show called Saints and Sinners. Was that with John MacGyver, or who was in that show?
Oh golly, the guy was killed. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
That was in the early
Oh,
'60s,
shoot.
and
I can see his face.
that ran about.
Nick Adams.
Oh, Nick Adams.
Adams
Okay,
was the
yeah,
star. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
called Saints and Sinners, and I played a copy boy. And there were all kinds of actors, really, really famous actors, and they would guest star. They had the guest star role all the time. I was always, I was like the copy girl. I was running around the background mostly, I think.
There you go.
But that was one I did, and
Now, tell me, being an actress, and again, if folks could see as I did when I was doing the research, the list of credits. I mean, the '60s, '70s, '80s, television, especially some movies sprinkled in. I mean, you were working. I don't know. It looked like 30 weeks a year, but yet I also realized that 30, 40, 50 years ago, the money wasn't what it is.
I'll tell you something. No, you're wrong about that,
Yeah.
because the money today. I have a girlfriend who's like going to do this. If you work in a movie with a really huge star, let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone or Mel Gibson or something like that, those guys take all the money,
Right.
and you work for scale.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You work
Okay.
for scale. And I have a girlfriend who is starring in a movie, and I'm not going to say the guy's name, but there is no money for her
Wow.
at all. She's working for scale, and she's taking it because it's a very big movie and it's a very good part. But I'll tell you, it's like you have to be a producer these days to come out ahead.
So,
And it's really, really difficult. It's like even with commercials, they'll I would do commercials. I did Alberto VO5, I did Spick and Span, I did Zest. And I mean, every time it would be shown, I would have $45 in my pocket, and it would be shown like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times a night. And we just had ABC, NBC, CBS.
Sure.
I mean, those were the shows,
Yeah.
But those shows, the commercials paid, and an actor could work. Now you do a commercial, and they buy you out for $250 forever.
Wow.
And that's all you make.
Unless you become
The
like
actor-
the
actors have to they've got to I mean, the actors that are here trying to act, they're all richy rich kids.
yeah.
They're richy rich. I mean, I came to New York with nothing, and I babysat dogs and walked them and walked kids to school and waitressed, and I did all those kinds of things while I was trying to go up for things. And you could walk around, you could pound the pavement, you could walk from one interview to the next, you could read Variety, and you could walk to the theaters, and you could read for these things.
Sure.
Now it's different. You've got to be richy rich. They want you to pay $40 a time to meet a casting director. It's all done electronically. You have to have an agent, and it's like you watch television these days, and the woman who's on Nurse Jackie, she's on another show. I mean, I think she's on, it's like you turn on any show, and those same actors are doing the same work. They just cast the same people over and over again because they're just too scared to go with anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like really, it's a totally different business. But I worked up until 1999. I did Gift from Heaven, which I won an award in Rome, Italy for Best Actress. And I was doing The Young and Restless, and I went up and I did a play, and they let me do that when I was on Y&R.
Sure.
They were just wonderful on Y&R. They let me off to do other things. It was a wonderful show to work on, and wonderful actors, and Bill Bell and his wife and his children. I mean, they were a class act. And I worked up until 1999. I was dragged off to Fiji to retire because I was told, well, you'll never really be a big star. What are you doing? You're not doing anything, And I was like stupid to believe this.
Well, because like you said, it's like in any profession, you get out of it and then it's hard to get back in because the technology changes alone, not to mention then I'm sure agents move on or pass on, and now you're kind of like, wow.
They pass on or they become senile and send you the wrong places. And
so then you got to work hard to kind of get the ball rolling again. And the last thing you were on.
There are two young actresses that are helping me. Brenda and Dawn, these two gals, and Brenda's. You've got to have Brenda on the show. She's written a book. She's sending it to me. I haven't gotten it yet.
Sure.
I think it's called Driving in Town, or I can't remember the name of it. But she played Lana Turner in Confidential, L.A. Confidential.
Yeah.
She's a fabulous actress, and Sharon DeBoard thinks of her as like a daughter. And I talked to her on the phone one time, and it's like she's really helping me, and that's just so nice, that somebody would help me find an agent, because that's what I've got to do if I can't just retire and.
No, retirement's not all it's cracked up to be. You have too much zest and vibrance, so you need to keep on plugging away. Sharon Farrell joining us here on our remaining moments on Studio 411. The book. Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa. www. There's the book right there. SharonFarrell.com for more information. In the remaining moments, we see a lot of celebrities, I think, with social media and everything going on with substance abuse issues. Do you think that it's elevated now more because of the social media presence, or do you think that back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that it was just as prevalent?
Oh, I think it's just the same.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's absolutely the same. Everybody wants to try things. I think it was worse back then because we were chopping up cocaine on the camera stands. When I was working with Peter O'Toole, everybody in the whole cast and everybody, it was like more flamboyant. We were tossing Coke bottles back and forth. It was more accepted. But I don't know. It's like I was driving on PCH and I saw a girl in a Mustang, a convertible Mustang, and they were smoking a joint. They were going back and forth. I pulled over and waited till they got way up ahead of me because the grass and the marijuana these days is so much stronger than what we did.
Sure.
You can take a hit off a joint these days and you cannot get off your couch. You're just stuck there because it's so strong. So I don't know I don't think people should be able to drive doing it. I'll tell you. It's probably worse now. It's probably worse now.
I usually don't ask this of too many guests, but she just answered, what do you think about legalizing marijuana in America? Well, Sharon gave me the answer without even asking the question, so that's good. What has helped you get through?
Something they use it for the hemp, the hemp plant, but that doesn't get anybody high. But that has been used since and sailboats with those with the people fighting swords and stuff. Back in the they've been making ropes out of that ropes and sails for. Ships and things. Hemp has been around forever, and they've used it just forever. I think medicinally they should be able to use it. I think if they do legalize it, I think it should go for schools, or it should really go to do something, and it should really go because they've got a lottery here, And they say in California, the lottery was brought in, and it's like our schools here haven't gotten any better, really. I mean, they really haven't. So that was a big scam, with the lottery. But they used the lottery way back in George Washington's day.
Right.
So I just wish that, well, we've got more transparency, so people are going to be forced to be more honest because we flush them out.
There you go. Let's see now. She lost me with that left turn there. Oh my goodness, I'll tell you. See, Did you ever think about running for politics?
Ask that question.
Did you ever think? I didn't ask the question. You actually answered it, and I'm looking at the.
I should have kept my big mouth shut. Sorry.
Have you ever thought about running for politics? Because unlike today's politicians, you hold nothing back.
I'm a follower. I am not a leader. I am a follower.
There you go.
I really am. I have to, it's like if you put a piece of paper in front of me, I just sign it. I don't read it or anything, because when somebody's holding down the piece of paper and you can't turn it over to see what you're signing, and they, when they've got the check in front of you and they just hold it down and they say sign it, and it's like you hesitate and you get whacked on the head and you sign it, So I don't know. I've always been a doormat, I'm used to that position. I need a man that's going to tell me what to do, or an agent to tell me what to do. I don't know. I'm good for nothing.
No, you're doing quite well. I admire your persistence and your feistiness, for lack of a better word. We've only got a few minutes left. Give me some real quick thoughts, about 10 seconds on each of these people. David Jansen, you worked with him on Harry O and The Fugitive. 10 seconds.
He was so funny. We went to a restaurant called La Formosa, and he said to me, "Do you wanna?" with that F word. Yeah. And I just started laughing. He says, "Oh, great. Let's have a drink."
There you go.
And it was like I loved him. He was great. He made you feel good, but he didn't
right.
touch your paw or anything,
Ben Casey's Vince Edwards, for those of you from remember the 60s. You dated Vince, correct?
I used to go out with him. I learned how to handicap horses. I learned to love horses through Vince, but it was and he was winning when I went out with him. He was throwing money out the cars when we went down to Tijuana, and he'd win the 510. He was like a boyfriend of mine, but he was really because my mom liked him.
Now this one, be very careful. 10 seconds. Richard Chamberlain, who you worked with on Dr. Kildare. Nice man to work with.
He was quite a rooster in his day. He was going out with Jane Fonda, and he was asking me out, and he's still around.
Yes,
he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a rooster, let me tell you. He's still a rooster.
Well, you told it. I think someone's trying to get a message to me, but I didn't hear that. Robert Vaughn on Man from U.N.C.L.E. You worked with him several times.
He's very professional, and he's the one that should have gone into politics, because that's what he wanted to do. When I went out with him, he said, "Would you like to live?" And he gave me the address of the White House. And at the time I still can't remember the address of the White House, but he was quite a guy. He really was. He's still alive.
He lives here in Connecticut, or was, yeah. He lives here in Connecticut. I don't know why. I wonder if he's still working. He should. He does commercials for those lawyer commercials.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. But I haven't seen him. I actually saw him. He was at some event, one of those autograph shows. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. A couple of things real quick as we're winding down. The crew in there, there's a photo of Sharon and Dolly Parton just taken recently. Was that really Dolly Parton?
Yes, I was eating. What was I eating? I got something stuck in my tooth, and I'm sitting there with this gentleman for lunch.
Yeah.
That I found on Match.com, and he was like 80 years old. Okay, and he was all nice and everything, but I got something stuck in my tooth, and I had to excuse myself, and I went into the ladies' room. And I'm sick. I had my purse all dumped out, and I'm digging around for dental floss. You know those little things
Yeah.
that with a, you got a little handle on it, it's plastic, and you can get things out of your teeth. Nothing. I couldn't find anything in my purse that I have like everything in this great big huge black hole purse. And this woman comes in, and she says, "Honey, I wish I could imitate her. Honey, what are you doing? What do you got all your stuff on all? Why do you have all your stuff spread out all over the sink here, honey?" And it was Dolly Parton.
Now, did she
And
know who you were, or she didn't know you? Did she know
no,
you were Sharon Farrell, the
her
actress?
didn't know me. We just were like women. I wasn't really looking at her, and she wasn't really looking at me. She was looking at all the stuff, the big mess I'd made on the sink.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, you're Sharon Farrell." And I said, "Ah, you're Dolly Parton." And she says, "Yes, I am. I am Dolly Parton." And I'll tell you that, she is much prettier in person than she is in a photograph or on film.
No.
She is gorgeous. Her skin is just porcelain.
We're showing that photo right now. Yeah.
That photo does not do her justice at all. That woman is gorgeous. And she's got this cute little figure with not 1 ounce of fat on her at all.
No,
she's so hot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she was like, I don't know what she was doing, because we didn't talk about that. All we did was talk about our teeth. And she was saying, "Do you have porcelain teeth?" "I got porcelain teeth." She says, "This is what I do." She says, "Do you want to use my toothbrush?" And then she took her toothbrush. She said, "I just go like this." And she was like, she was making a toothbrush go like that. And I thought, I don't know, the first thing I thought was germs.
There you go.
Wasn't going to use her toothbrush, I mean, I loved her to death. She treated me like a sister, But I wouldn't use my sister's toothbrush,
Sure.
I mean, unless we had, like, some alcohol or something around.
There you go. Well, on that dental note, we've come to the end of another episode here of Studio 411. Sharon, thank you so much. We'll have you back on again. The book, Sharon Farrell, Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa. For more information, SharonFarrell.com. And you are a pistol, let me tell you. A pistol, he said, a pistol. So thanks for joining us, and hang on right there. There's the book. And we thank you for joining us here on this episode of Studio 411. I hope you had as much fun as we did today, and we look forward to seeing you guys again very soon. Take care.